Right now at 8 o'clock, it is primary night. High-profile candidates and important issues all on the ballot as voters in New Jersey decide their future.
Economic development. This is one of the top priorities on my mind.
The cost of living, period.
Voters looking to make a difference in their communities, picking a candidate who could become New Jersey's next governor. Tonight, we have live team coverage as voters decide. Good evening. I'm Christine Johnson.
And I'm Jessica Moore. Welcome to our special coverage of primary night in New Jersey.
It is one of the most crowded and competitive elections in years. Polls just closed about 42 seconds ago. They opened at 6 a.m. this morning, and this follows both mail and in-person early voting in New Jersey. Anyone who was in line before 8 p.m. tonight and is still waiting can certainly still vote.
Voters are deciding the Democratic and Republican candidates for governor in November's general election. 11 candidates are running to take over for Governor Phil Murphy, who is term limited from running again.
And we have team coverage from all over New Jersey throughout this next hour. Political reporter Marcia Kramer also standing by with expert analysis. Let's begin our coverage now in Morristown with Dick Brennan and the Democratic candidates all vying for that primary election win tonight. Dick.
Well, Jessica and Christine, we're at Mikey Sherrill's headquarters. It doesn't look like it's rocking very much. In fact, there are plenty of people here. They just haven't made the way into the main ballroom, and it should fill up pretty soon. Now, there are 6 primary candidates in this race, and most of them have a pretty good shot of winning tonight, and that is very unusual for any race. Big question is, did they get their messages out? Today, we spoke to some of the voters about what's on their mind. Let's listen.
Prices is going up with the food. The cost of living, period.
Economic development. This is one of the top priorities on my mind.
Voters today turned out in hopes of making a difference.
We need someone who's going to support us and ensure that we're going to have a roof over our head, we're going to have food on our table, our kids are going to have a great education.
The 6 Democrats in the Democratic field include Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop, Congress members Josh Gottheimer and Mikey Sherrill, Sean Spiller, the head of the state's largest teachers union, the New Jersey Education Association, and former state Senate President Steve Sweeney.
Thanks for coming. Sorry for the rain.
Gottheimer voted this morning in Tenafly.
I think it was my first train station at 7 a.m. today. Hit a bunch of diners. Great energy.
And Mayor Stephen Fulop voted in Jersey City.
Take care. Thank you.
Turnout is always a huge factor. The crowded field could mean a winner takes as little as 20% of the vote, and the candidates have to decide how to manage the political divide.
Democrats in New Jersey are centrist. Republicans, for the most part, in New Jersey are centrist. They like things in the middle. They like to be left alone. They like to make sure that you can do whatever you want as long as your yard is cleaned up, as long as you take care of your neighbors, and as long as you take care of your hometown.
The Democratic candidates have each tried to top the other in their opposition to Donald Trump, and the president has in many ways defined the race. But political experts say while national issues like immigration will be a factor, voters will likely take the local approach.
I think pocketbook issues are really important. I think that clearly Trump is going to be part of the story and part of that, but at the end of the day, people are going to say, this one hates Trump, this one loves Trump, give me my tax break, right? And how do I get that?
Now, it's been 8 years since a primary for an open governor's seat, and back then only 15% of the people turned out for the primary, but they did not have early voting back then, so things could be different, and by all accounts, the early voting has been very strong. We're live in Morristown, New Jersey. Dick Brennan, CBS News New York. Christine and Jessica.
Okay, Dick, thank you.
On the Republican side, there are 5 people on the ballot, but 1 is leading in the polls.
Christine Sloan live at Jack Chittarelli's headquarters in Homedale Forest. Christine, what's happening there?
Well, Christine, the room is starting to fill up, not behind me, but right in front of me. Not only is Jack Chittarelli leading in the polls, but he also has President Donald Trump's endorsement. I spoke to 2 other candidates who told me they fought hard until those polls closed at 8 o'clock tonight.
I come to the table with the basic principles of our party.
John Bromnick says he's the moderate Republican in the race and doesn't need Trump's endorsement.
I'm not into the Republican mode where you're angry or hate Democrats or hateful rhetoric.
New Jersey's ready to pop out of that blue horror show.
President Donald Trump, determined to turn New Jersey Republican after losing to Kamala Harris in the last election by just 6 points, has endorsed Jack Ciattarelli. He spoke to CBS News New York's political reporter Marcia Kramer on the point. He says he has a plan to cut property taxes and give seniors and first-time home buyers a break.
Let's cap property taxes at 1% of the assessed value of the home, for example, for first-time home buyers for the first 5 years so they can get started. And let's cap property taxes, freeze property taxes for anyone turning age 70 and older.
More conservative candidate Bill Spadia also has a plan to cut property taxes and tells me he's disappointed and spoke to Trump before the endorsement.
Our conversation was about some of the disagreements we've had in the past, and clearly the president is not interested in someone disagreeing with him on any issue.
Ciattarelli's campaign tells me that he is expected in the building just about now, but he will not be coming out here until the winner of the Republican primary is announced. We are live in Homedale, New Jersey. Christine Sloan, CBS News, New York.
All right, thanks so much, Christine.
Political reporter Marcia Kramer joins us now, along with political consultant O'Brien Murphy. So let's chat. Let's chat about primary night. We heard from both Dick and also from Christine, both mentioning President Donald Trump in their reports. How significant of a presence is he having in this race? Let's talk about the GOP side first, O'Brien.
I think on the GOP, his endorsement carries the day tonight at this point. I think we'll know very early what's going to happen in the Republican primary. The Democratic primary will go on a lot later, I think.
What about you, Marcia, on the Democratic side?
On the Democratic side, President Trump also loomed really large, and you can tell by their commercials because every single one of them said, I'm the best person to take on Donald Trump. But when I talk to political experts in New Jersey, they say it's not only proving you can take on the man in Washington, but you also have to show that you care about pocketbook issues. And as you heard in the pieces that people did here tonight, pocketbook issues are important, especially property taxes. When I spoke to Matthew Hale from Seton University, he said property taxes are truly the #1 issue that New Jersey.
Which has been an issue forever in New Jersey.
Yeah, but it's still a really important issue, especially since they haven't done anything about the STAR deduction yet.
And what about social issues? So much of the news has been dominated over the last few days with these ICE demonstrations out in Los Angeles. Is that, in your opinion, going to play a role in who wins tonight?
You know, next week it would have. I think it's just a little too early right now, going from demonstrations to what actually happens for violence and what's going on now, what President Trump has done to step in there. It hasn't quite settled in yet. You had early voting going on already, too, by the time this happened. So it's too early for that. But if it was a week later, definitely.
But see, I disagree with you because I think that Ross Baraka especially was trying to capitalize on that by filing suit against a U.S. attorney to challenge the fact that he was arrested because he was at an ICE detention center. So I think it already has entered the primary, especially in the Democratic side.
But Marcia, you're 100% right. It added something to his campaign earlier on, what he did with ICE. But I think California is a whole other animal at this point right now. And I think what it was if anything, it did help him in this race. But I still think when you see what happens tonight, we'll have to figure out.
See, I think that whoever is going to say that they can be toughest against Trump, this only adds to the concerns of Democrats trying to find somebody who can stand up to a president who might bring the National Guard to New Jersey.
All possibilities. So let's talk about quality of life issues. You know, we talked about property taxes, Marcia. We've also talked about cost of living. We heard from some of the voters there in New Jersey.
Transit.
That's a good one.
Transit you have to talk about. In fact, Jack Ciattarelli has an interesting plan. He wants to combine all the New Jersey transit things from the Garden State Parkway to the Thruway to the New Jersey Transit, take all the money, including the gas tax, and find a way to find one solution for everything. And
Gottheimer picked up some early energy in his campaign, too, when he's fighting the congestion pricing here in New York City. He was a leader of that for New Jersey. I don't think it really picked up a lot as the campaign went on for him, where he lost some steam along the way.
Well, the topic itself lost some steam, right?
It did once everyone started paying for it.
Exactly.
Right,
still, transit is really heavy on a lot of people's minds.
Just one final question. What about this county line ballot issue? This is the first election where that's not on the ballot. Do you see that logistically having an impact, or is it sort of just a little nuanced?
Any campaign where you are on the ballot has something to do with it. It's a question how close the race is going to be. And I think given what we're going to see tonight, it will not have the impact at this point. You still have a party favorite leading the way. But to Marcia's point, too, with the property taxes, you're going to have Murphy on the ballot in November, Trump on the ballot in November, a Republican nominee, and a Democratic nominee.
See, I think the county line makes a big difference because it makes the Democratic primary much more competitive because the county leaders can't put their finger on the scale.
Interesting. All right.
All right,
Thank
you two. Thank you both. Stick around because we might be turning to you in a little bit as we get some of these results in.
Yeah. We'll be back.
Stay with us for continuing coverage throughout the night. We'll bring you results as they come in, of course, on air and also streaming on CBS News New York. Welcome back to our live coverage of primary night here on CBS News New York. 11 major party candidates running for New Jersey governor.
Polls closed at 8 p.m. and we are waiting for the early results from across the state. We do have some to bring you right now. Right now, we have 27% reporting. A total of 6 Democrats are running, and Mikey Sherrill is leading the pack here with 33.9%, followed by Stephen Fulop. The other 3 candidates running, looks like the highest one there, Sean Spiller at 13.5, Steve Sweeney 13.5, and Josh Gottheimer 9.8.
And then on the Republican side, let's take a look at the results there. With a commanding lead with 8% of the vote in is Jack Ciattarelli, who was endorsed by President Trump, reporting right now with almost 68% of the vote, followed by Bill Spadea, John Bromnick, Mario Kranjek, and also Justin Barbera. Not a huge surprise there, but again, only 8% of the vote in right now. We have Christine Sloan over at Jack Ciattarelli's headquarters. We'll be checking in with her here in before the next half an hour or so. In the meantime,
on the Democratic side, Newark Mayor Baraka has clashed with the Trump administration over immigration, including his high-profile arrest at Delaney Hall.
The progressive candidate hoping to win over voters tonight. Jennifer Bisram live at his campaign headquarters in Newark with more. How's the mood there, Jennifer?
Hi, KJ and Jess. I have to say the mood is pretty calm right now. You can hear the music behind me. People are starting to trickle in, but things haven't quite kicked off here yet. We are at the headquarters here for Newark Mayor Baraka, and he is still hoping to become the Democratic nominee in this New Jersey race for governor. I did talk with his campaign spokesperson just a short time ago, and I'm told that he is still very cautiously optimistic. Will the mayor of Newark become the Democratic gubernatorial nominee in New Jersey and succeed Governor Phil Murphy, who is barred by term limits from running for re-election?
Make sure your vote is always cast, no matter what election is for, because every vote counts.
The progressive mayor of New Jersey's largest city is one of 6 Democrats hoping to become the Garden State's Democratic nominee. He casted his own vote at the Greater Abyssinian Church on Lyons Avenue Tuesday morning. CBS News New York talked with supporters who also voted there.
I wanted to make sure I voted so that my community is represented by someone who is looking out for the single moms, looking out for the elderly, making sure everybody is being presented and helped in the community.
Economic development, this is one of the top priorities on my mind.
Why?
Just to pull the people together.
Baraka, the 40th mayor of Newark, made national headlines last month after being arrested on a trespassing charge at Delaney Hall, a federal immigration detention center in Newark, during a visit with members of New Jersey's congressional delegation. A trespassing charge against him was later dismissed. According to the candidate's pre-election and expenditure reports, he raised more money in the last few weeks of the campaign than any other Democratic candidate, more than $961,000. Voters in this primary say they're just hoping the next governor cares about the issues they do.
I want to see the crime go away, and I want to see the prices of cost of living going down.
We need someone who's going to support us and ensure that we're going to have a roof over our head, we're going to have food on our table, our kids are going to have a great education. As a teacher, I have to make sure that is definitely something, especially fighting to make sure my pension is still going to be paid for out and when I'm all done.
And as those voter results continue to pour in, or trickle in, I should say, at this point, spirits here at the campaign headquarters still very high here. We did put in a request to interview the mayor today, but he said he is waiting until all the votes are in before he talks to the media. We are live here from Newark, New Jersey. Jennifer Bisram, CBS News, New York.
All right, thanks so much, Jen.
All right, now to some breaking news here on this primary night. The Associated Press declaring Jack Ciattarelli the winner of the Republican primary at just almost 21 minutes after the polls closed. Here is his campaign headquarters in Homedale. Ciattarelli, of course, endorsed by President Trump. Also, in the last election against Phil Murphy, only losing that election by 3 points. It was a very close race. Ciattarelli, a very strong Republican candidate, and again, a very strong candidate on this primary election night in New Jersey. Right now, with 18% of the vote in, a very commanding lead at almost 68%. Christine Sloan is there at his headquarters. I'm sure she's trying to get the candidate as I speak, so we'll be checking in with her as soon as she can get some word in with this man, Jack Ciattarelli, who the Associated Press is now declaring the winner on this Republican primary night. And there we go. Talk about fast results. Christine Sloan standing by at Ciattarelli's headquarters. Good news for this Republican candidate, Christine.
Excitement is growing here at Jack Ciattarelli's headquarters. This was not a surprise. Those polls showing him leading by wide margins. Of course, he was endorsed by President Donald Trump, and that's important in a primary because you're trying to get those diehard Republicans who are registered to the polls to vote for him. So, Donald Trump said that he endorsed him because he felt that he had the greatest chance to win. Donald Trump has said in the past and in recent days that he wants to turn New Jersey red again. So, of course, we are expecting Jack Ciattarelli out here soon in the next hour or so. So we'll be waiting to see what he has to say, Christine.
All right, Christine Sloan reporting for us from the Ciattarelli headquarters. Christine, when you get him, do let us know. We'll send it back to you then. Thank you.
And it just goes to show, O'Brien Murray had said when we were interviewing him, the impact of the president's endorsement still to this day. Spadia was really hoping that he would get the president's endorsement, but when Trump flipped, you see the results just that quickly. He delivered, right?
He obviously felt Ciattarelli was the stronger candidate.
Stay with us for continuing coverage throughout the entire night. We'll bring you the results as they come in, streaming on CBS News New York and, of course, on our website, cbsnewyork.com.